Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. This is for December 15th, 2024. This is episode 353. Stand-up comedian, actor, improviser, and dreamer Paul Green coming to you, sharing my journey as I pursue my dreams in the hopes that perhaps you will pursue yours as well. Yesterday was just a big old recovery day for me. I was coming off an incredibly busy week of a lot of travel, a lot of driving, and a lot of shows. So it was nice just to have a day to sort of relax, although I didn't actually relax. I got a lot of work done still. I really did a lot of work on my social media. So I had somebody who was cutting social media reels for me and was doing a fantastic job. But unfortunately for me, but fortunately for her, she ended up getting a job, a full-time job that obviously was going to occupy her time. And so she wasn't able to continue to help me out. So I just started cutting reels for social media. And it was a little interesting. I don't even really know how to describe how I felt about it, but I have this hard drive that has all of this footage of me doing stand-up, because I have been pretty much recording every stand-up show that I've done pretty much since about April or so. It was around that time that I got added to the permanent feature rotation over at JP's, and so I was getting 4 or 5 sets a month at least as a feature act. So I get 10 to 12 minutes. And so I started figuring out how to record myself to have multiple angles. So I would always set up 2 cameras, and then I would set up, I would also have a lapel mic, so I would get clean audio, and, then upload all that footage, and then I would try to cut little snippets, little reels for social media. And I went back through and was just looking at all of this footage. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of getting into this mode, this frame of mind, as the year is starting to wind down, starting to get a little reflective on this last year. I talked a lot yesterday about how, I headlined the same comedy club that I'd headlined like 2 years ago, although 2 years ago it went really bad or had the potential to really go bad. And then, yesterday I'm just looking at just months and months of footage of all of these shows that I've done, all of these crowd interactions that I've had, all of these improvised songs that I've done. And, it was, again, just a good reminder that sometimes you don't really see the progress day to day. You just kind of have your head down, you're working, you're grinding. And then, sometimes it's good just to reflect and go, a lot has happened this last year to be grateful for. A lot of work was done. There's been growth. There's been improvement. And I have all of this evidence of all of these shows that I've recorded and all of these crowd interactions. And it was something that I was just starting to mine again for material. Anybody who's in the social media sphere, man, it's just posting content, trying to find content. It is maddening. Or it can be maddening how much work it takes to manage social media. So on the one hand, I was glad that I got a chance to sort of start diving back into that and taking that responsibility back over for myself. And then also very grateful that I didn't have to manage that for the last 7 or 8 months, since I had a social media manager taking over that side of my grind, of my hustle. So still a lot of work to be done. The other thing that I did was I started keeping track of my social media growth. And, I'll be honest, this was a little discouraging. I try to be transparent on this podcast. It's not all sunshine and roses. There are some times where it's like, oh, okay, this isn't going as well as I had hoped. So since about a year ago, I really made a commitment that I was going to be incredibly aggressive on posting on social media. Up until then, it was kind of hit or miss. I would post here, I would post there. I didn't really have a strategy. I wasn't really consistent. It was kind of all over the place with what I was posting. And so about a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm really going to be a lot more deliberate, make sure I'm posting reels of my comedy every day. That's when I started the daily podcast. I was cutting clips from my podcast, and I have posted so much content over the last year since then. And I started keeping a spreadsheet of how many followers I was getting, and just tracking my growth. Now, on the plus side, all 4 of my social media channels have definitely grown between, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So that's good. But on the other hand, it's the growth, sure, it's there, but I don't know, it's almost negligible in terms of growth that will actually move the needle for me in terms of um any sort of benefit that social media can provide. So obviously, if you post on social media, you're hoping for a couple of things. You're hoping that, your content starts to go, quote unquote, viral. You post a video that just goes viral, and all of a sudden it blows up, and it kind of starts a feeding frenzy of online activity where people are, viewing your content, they're sharing it, they're posting it, reposting it, they're commenting on it. And as a performer, as a stand-up comic, if you quote unquote go viral, it can really help your career, because bookers do look at that. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. If they see that you've got a huge following, then that makes you a little bit more of an attractive candidate for them to book you in your club. Even more so, if you go viral, and because of that that viral activity, or your social media following is so big, you also have the potential to be a draw, meaning now that people have seen you online, they actually want to show up and buy a ticket and see you in person. And as I have talked about many, many times on this podcast, the capacity to be a draw, the capacity to sell tickets, the capacity to actually draw a crowd out to your show is of tremendous monetary value. And it is also, I think, one of the hardest things to do as a comedian, which is to be a draw, is to um, be able to sell tickets to your shows. Um, so, of course, one of the very rare examples of social media leading to tremendous success is, of course, Matt Rife. And, Matt Rife was a complete unknown comic. He had moved to LA when he was young, when he was maybe 17, 18 years old. He got a couple of kind of big TV credits because, he's young and handsome. And, but still nothing that, gave him any sort of success or fame. But then he started posting clips of him doing crowd work on social media. One of those videos just went bonkers, like 20 million views. And it really turned him into a celebrity. And then because of that, people wanted to go see him perform. So then he could sell tickets. And now he's, selling out large stadiums worldwide. So, of course, once he found success doing crowd work, then every other comedian on the planet, including myself, was like, oh, well, I'm going to post clips of me doing crowd work and hopefully I'll go viral. And, fair enough. We're all trying. We're all trying to find a way to be successful and to find some financial positive ROI in doing comedy, which is not easy. So anyway, I have been posting and posting and posting, and every one of my accounts has increased. However, like I said, the actual increase is fairly marginal. It's like a couple of hundred subscribers per application, right? Like a couple hundred on Facebook, a couple hundred on TikTok, a couple hundred more subscribers on YouTube, a couple hundred more followers on Instagram. Now, the other way to look at that is to go, well, overall, I've picked up about 800 or so, if we just say maybe 200 per app, and it is about that. I picked about 800 new social media followers and subscribers. It was a lot of work for that, but it is growth. So, I'm trying to just navigate that emotionally and just go, hey, you want to know what? At least it's growth. And the other option is I could have done nothing and then I would have been exactly where I was, a year ago. But I really think a lot of what I'm going to be focusing on here for the next couple of weeks as I start to get in the new year is really start looking at optimization and focus. And because I feel like I'm kind of all over the place right now in terms of what I've been trying. I've been very experimental. I've been taking risks, and all of that is necessary. And now I think maybe as I start to finish out this year, I start to finish my goal of doing this podcast daily. I'll probably start really trying to hone in and focus a little more and being a little bit more deliberate on what it is, what sort of outcome I actually want to experience. I've just sort of been not really focused on outcome. I've been just a lot more focused on just do stuff, just set goals, make it happen, do a daily podcast. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about, and I just sort of dove in and did it. And same with social media. It's just like, I was going to post all the time. I'm going to cut clips of my comedy and just put it out there. And then I've tried a couple of other sort of comedic video ideas, just to see if any of them felt like, kind of more like sketch ideas, character ideas that I've posted on social media, just to see if they um, maybe seem to attract any attention. So as I start to wind down this year, start to wind down my daily podcast of 365 episodes, then it's going to be a shift of focus to optimization and focus, and maybe getting a little bit more deliberate on what I actually expect to happen, because I pretty much had no expectations, and I think there's a benefit to that. There is a benefit to just kind of like, I'm just going to try everything and sort of detach and just put myself out there in as many different ways as I can that makes sense. And, I did that for a good year, and now I think it's time for me to harness my energy and be a little bit more focused on what I think will actually produce the best and most optimal results for me. Which just doesn't sound sexy at all. That sounds boring, but sometimes you got to do the boring stuff. Sometimes he's got to, what did Jerry Seinfeld say? You got to find the suck that you can stand. Right? No matter what we want to do in life, there's going to be an element of suck to it. There's going to be something that's just hard, that's just annoying. I mean, come on, let's just take the most prime example of, diet and exercise. We want sexy abs, we want good health. But diet and exercise is every day, and it's boring. So, not a super uplifting episode of the podcast today. A little bit more practical, a little bit more pragmatic, but that's part of the journey as well. And trying to balance the ambition, trying to balance having a dream, trying to balance having hope and having faith, and having making big declarations to the universe and setting big goals and desiring huge outcomes. That's all good. And I strongly believe in that, the whole sort of self-help side of things, the vision boards, and, the positive belief, the Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, all of that stuff. I am definitely a believer in that. I think that all of that is very valuable, but it definitely is not the only thing that is required to move the needle. On the other side of having big dreams and goals and vision boarding and declaring to the universe and expanding your mind, and if your dreams don't scare you, you're not thinking big enough, all of that sort of like self-help jargon that sort of in the ether of American culture. On the other side of that is there's a lot of head down and hard, consistent, focused work every day, and being willing to do that. And that, to me, is really the secret to success. At least I hope it is, because if it's not, then I got nothing of value to say. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it right there for today. This is the Paul Green Comedy Podcast for December 15th, 2024, episode 353. 12 episodes to go. On the 12th day of podcast, my Paul Green said to me, post on social media. Okay. All right, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Your dreams are coming true. You're out there pursuing them, finding joy and fulfillment on the journey. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.